Hello everybody. I got inspired by a colleague of mine whose work I respect greatly. His name is Marcos Monteiro. We're part of the same tradition. Recently Marcos made a video where he speaks about his use of Fortuna in astrology. But I'm going to focus specifically on horary here because there is a common approach to Fortuna in horary astrology, which is part of John Frawley's philosophy and which Marcos follows closely. And although I am part of the same lineage, I have found things about Fortuna that I believe need to be added to the traditional astrology body of knowledge. One of the things that Marcos mentioned, and which I know John Frawley agrees, is that they rarely use Fortuna, if ever, in horary. And there is a very concrete reason for that. It's not just a matter of opinion or preference. For most horary questions, you need one or two, at the most, three significators. You need one aspect, maybe a little reception here and there, essential dignity, accidental dignity, and you get your answer to your question. If the questions that you answer are, will I get the job? Will I get married? Will I meet her or will I meet him? Will I get laid? Will I get money? Will I get sick? Or will the cat come back? You don't need Fortuna. The significators that are required to answer those questions are very clearly apparent from the house rulership of those houses. So there's only one money house. There's only one job house, one child house, one cat house. So it's very simple. So for that kind of horary astrology, you do not need further devices that are built into astrology to help the astrologer unravel the chart. There's barely anything to unravel if the question is, will I get the job? However, when we're dealing with complex contexts, for example, medical, mundane matters, psychological, metaphysical, or spiritual questions, then you rarely use one or two significators. It is more common than not to have 7 significators in those situations. In medical astrology, it's pretty obvious, right? We have organs, we have body parts. We usually need to find those significators. So, keep that in mind. Simple horary and complex horary. In simple horaries, we have one house that rules the thing we're asking about. But every astrological chart has a pair of houses ruled by the same planet. So, in a complex situation, how are you going to determine which of those two houses are relevant to the question? That's where Fortuna comes in. It will tell you which house you should pay attention to. So if 2 houses are ruled by Mercury, you have to decide which one is important. And Fortuna will be placed in the chart to indicate which house you must address. We will not find that technique in the horary textbook or in any basic horary course because it doesn't apply to simple horary astrology. It applies to complex situations. And Fortuna is not alone. There is another device built into astrology to tell the astrologer to pay attention to certain houses. And that's the nodes. They're often placed in a chart in a way that guides the astrologer to pay attention to those houses in the very same way that Fortuna does. And this is a technique that I learned from John Frawley, but his application of that is in solar returns and lunar returns. So I thought if it works in solar returns, why would it not work in horary? And it does. It's beyond the scope of this video to exemplify how that works, but you can find many examples in the 3 books that I've written, and the links to them are in my profile and in my websites.